But I know the world we live in. I know the system that I work for. And I'm saying, son, you're Black, you live in the South, you're a convicted felon, and you still like white girls. I'm scared every day. I'm scared every single day.
Racism is a virus. Be safe and stop the spread.
Bridging. Generation gaps, socioeconomic gaps, gender gaps, cultural gaps, bridging gaps that cause confusion, division, and chaos in today's society. And now, let's join our moderator, host, and guest for another provocative episode of Bridging.
Welcome back to another episode of Bridging. I'm LauraBeth, your host, and I am joined again with Miss Melinda Hardin, Miss Allison Coates, and Miss Bridgette Bowman. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Now, I want to continue the conversation. You said when we were leaving that you were scared for your son because he was still interested in white girls after being arrested and becoming a felon. Can you elaborate a little more on that?
I think it was, I think hindsight's worth of $1 million, right? That's what they say all the time. So Melinda, you can relate to all the lessons we learned, and it kept us safe. In this, I wanted to raise my kids in a different neighborhood. I wanted them to be around Black kids and white kids. I wanted them to be in Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. And so they grew up in a diverse culture. But I forgot the realities, right? And I don't think I did a good job of helping my son in high school understand the barriers and the rules and the do's and the don'ts. And because I wanted so much for it to be the real world, right? Or ideal world. But the real world replaced the ideal world. And all of these things started happening. Now, as a grown-up, again, he operates behind the 8 ball every single day that he wakes up. Not to mention that he has these long, beautiful dreads. That's not the American look. So there's so many things that I didn't prepare him for, that now, just like you, he's from Missouri. Life is showing him better than anybody could tell him. Right. And it's hard to watch. He likes to drive a red car. It scares me that any day he could be pulled over, and it could be a day that he's slick in the mouth, or maybe he's had too much to drink, or, somebody pokes the bear on the wrong day and he's the bear. It's scary. Melinda, and it's crazy. I got 4 daughters. I don't fear for them as much, but I breathe it every moment for my son.
Now, Melinda, you have 2 sons and you have had a time with them. Will you go into that a little bit?
Well, my sons have mental health concerns from coming through foster care and from being in the foster care system for many years of their lives prior to coming home to us. And so that raised many challenges that we had to overcome as a family in order to maintain and deal. And so combined with their mental health concerns, along with their background, their trauma that they brought to the table, I knew that we had to take very creative approaches to help them to understand the realities of life and the things that they would face. Because you said so eloquently, Miss Bridgette, that you have chronologically someone that is a certain age, but due to, in my son's cases, trauma and issues and mental health concerns, their actual conceptual ideas of where their mind is a totally different age. And so making those two things come together and watching it all play out, sometimes it is very scary and it can be harmful. And so one of the stories that I believe I shared with LauraBeth one time to help to bring this home was one time I was in a car with my youngest son, who is deathly afraid of officers, deathly afraid of officers. To this day, he is 20 years old and he is still afraid of cops. He literally used to, when an officer would get behind us or get around us in a vehicle, we could be going to soccer practice and he would start shaking. He would start crying. And so I knew that if this were to happen to him while he was driving, that it would put him in a situation he would get in trouble. And so we happened to be driving one day and we had in the car, he, myself, a girlfriend of mine, and her son. And we were on our way to Incredible Pizza. And I happened to see a couple of Shelby County cops. I pulled over and I pulled up and I asked the officer, I said, I need you to tell my son, because this was right about the time he was getting ready to get for his permit. And I told him, I need you to tell my son what he needs to do in order to make it home alive. And the sheriff looked at me and said, excuse me? And I said, my son is about to get his permit and reality is reality. I need you to tell my 15-year-old son, if he is pulled over by Shelby County, Memphis, Collierville, Germantown, or any other municipalities, what does he have to do in order to make it home to me alive?
Yeah.
Wow. That
I think
officer,
that's interesting that we
began
have to have
to
those
talk to him.
conversations.
That officer began to talk to him and share with him what he needed to do. And the last thing that I told him is the very first thing you do, because it's going to take them about a minute to get out of that vehicle and get up to you. You call me, put me on speaker, put your phone on the dashboard of your car, and you tell me your exact location and you leave me on speaker until you leave that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And my girlfriend began to cry. And she told me it never dawned on her to have that conversation with her son, because she never had to have that conversation with her son. And I looked at her and I said, it never dawned on me not to have that conversation with my son, because that is my reality. To this day, he is now 20 years old. Anytime he has ever been pulled over, he calls me, Mom, I've been pulled over. I'm at such and such and such and such. The phone is on the dashboard and I'm on speakerphone. And I've asked, do you need me to come to that location? And it's usually always been no, but at least I know where he's at in case something happens or something goes on.
Right.
There's certain realities that even though we raise them in an affluent suburb back home, and then when we came to this area in another, what you would maybe call an affluent suburb where we are at, and we tried to give them the best of a good life, still teaching them those lessons because they are who they are, and helping them to understand that although we want the world to be a certain way, there are certain things that you need to understand for who you are that are going to play out for you. And we need to help you to understand these things. Some of these things have helped them. Some of those things have played against them. And it's been interesting seeing how those things have played out in the last couple of months, especially with what has gone on in our country. And it's actually broken my heart, because on my timeline on Facebook, friends I've had since grade school, I'm watching them go against each other now like they're mortal enemies. And it's amazing to me, and it breaks my heart, because the reality of it is you are now seeing how people are and how they believe and how they think.
Yes.
And I've always been taught, when someone tells you who they are, believe them.
Yep. I think it's really interesting, though, Melinda, when you say they are who they are. I think, and again, the mom in me, my heart breaks when I hear you say that, because I think we owe it to our children, especially our Black boys, to say the other half of that. And the world is what it is, because it's not who they are that creates the problem. It's how the world perceives who they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the heartbreaking part about it. It's like, how do you build up these people that God has given us, and you want them to grow up to be healthy and happy, but how do you grow healthy, happy people when you are always looking over your shoulder or wondering if you're in the wrong spot, or you're going to come up against the wrong person, or your manhood is going to be challenged? I'm not talking about a 14-year-old kid anymore for me, right?
And I
Melinda, you're
agree.
not talking about a 12-year-old. Guys, we're talking about grown men.
And
And
I
so
agree.
even although they are here, maybe not, when another grown man challenges your manhood, it does something to you. So I have to deal with one or two things. I have to deal with a broken man that I don't know how to fix, or I have to deal with an extremely frustrated one because he doesn't know where he fits in this big place called the world.
And I
It's,
agree with you
it's
in that.
exhausting.
And I agree with you, and it can be. And what's beautiful about it, and what can be beautiful about it, is that we don't have to do it alone. We have
Yes.
people like LauraBeth and like Miss Allison, because we used to have a
Yes.
room in our house. It was a homework room, that I had a slogan that I had stenciled up there that said, "The most dangerous thing in the world, an educated Black man." And I used to make them recite that all the time. That's the most dangerous thing in the world, is an educated Black man. That is what I need you to become, because that's when you become dangerous. Right now, uneducated, you're just a threat. Threats can be eliminated.
Right.
A threat can be eliminated, but danger is something different. So I need you to become dangerous. But the thing about it is that when we have people like Miss LauraBeth and like Miss Allison, who are willing to look beyond certain things and not see certain things, just see a person, a child, or people, or situations, or just see another human being, or like you just said, see something that's broken and want to fix, or want to make whole, or want to make better, or like deal with something that's frustrated and say, I understand you're frustrated, and the frustration is not with me, it's at the world, it's at the situation.
Right.
And work with you and partner with you to make it better. Those are the things that help to make the situation better, and we can work to make them better, is partnering with others who are willing to shoulder the burden with us, so
Yes.
it's not as heavy of a load. Because alone, you're right, it becomes a heavy burden, but together, little by little, we can accomplish much.
Absolutely.
Now, Allison, I want to ask you, when you were helping those young men, did you have any of those moments with them where you were like, you have to be this way or you have to be that way? Was like Melinda and Bridgette were sharing that their sons. Can you share that with us?
I think really, I'm trying to think of a specific incident. It was more of, even though you might come from a home situation that wasn't healthy, that you still need to be there for your mom. You still need to be there for your brothers and sisters, to kind of help take responsibility, even though it was hard. John talked to him more about from a manly aspect.
Right.
I know he told him to be careful, watch out, who you hang with, that it looks like when you're in high school and your family is kind of looks different or looks the same as some of your other friends, and then there will enter in the older friends that will, you know, try to pull you in, and it's all about making money, and you can get the money fast, but those really aren't your friends. So a lot of leadership or mentorship in that kind of way. And basically just letting them ask questions, and then you know, basically say kind of whatever, and then just dealing with it, and then trying to just basically show them love. I mean, I would say that was more my role, as far as giving them hugs, you know, laughing with them, telling stories. If they wanted to go get ice cream, if they wanted to, you know, me kind of be because they had, well, most of them had good moms that they were involved with.
Right.
And so, you know, just kind of being that extra person, really. Really just loving them, kind of where they were
Right.
in their life.
Now, I actually asked Melinda, I said, I've never had to have that conversation with anybody about make sure that your hands are not in your pocket, your hood's not on your head. Do I need to have that conversation with my son? He's 14.
Yeah,
Yes,
you do.
he's white Hispanic, but I was like, do I need to have this conversation with him?
So I think that's your reality, because guess what? Your child, when he fills out an application, he doesn't, other means non-white. Period. And that's the harsh reality, right? And I think, again, hopefully your child can go through this world. I mean, your child has the option of, you know, pretending or wanting to be from, he could be from the Middle East, some exotic country or something, you know, if he chose. But I think, again, you are so grounded that your children would never deny who they are. And thank God for that. But because they won't, our eyes, and especially men, right? Men live their world through their eye gate. No man is going to see your child and not see a brown human being.
Right.
And so guess what? He doesn't have the privilege of not having this conversation.
Right.
You have to. If nothing else, so he would understand if and when things happen to maybe his little brother who may not be as fair, or even his dad who's there for him every day. So yeah, you have to have that conversation.
Well, I only have the one son. I have 3 daughters, and
Oh, that's right, you do.
so I haven't set him down. I am planning on setting him down before he starts high school in August. I'm a little nervous about that, but I think that it's just something that never crossed my mind until all this was going on in the world, and I kind of want to hit myself in the face and say, where were you? You know, this is the reality. This is what my husband lives on a daily basis, and I didn't see it. He hid it from me. He sheltered me from it because he didn't want me to see it. He didn't want me to suffer from it.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, we are out of time. And I want to thank you all for coming. And is there anything that you would tell our listeners, our viewers, about what racism shouldn't be? How can we stop it? I guess is my question. Okay, Bridgette.
You know what? I think for me, the conversations that I would have to have, that I would want to have, that I think would be of value, with people who have a faith in Christ. That's my starting point. Now, I want to be able to touch all of humanity, but I have to start someplace I feel like I could win. And for me, that would be people who say they love Christ.
Yeah.
And for that, in terms of racism, I would ask them to make one choice and one choice only. And that is, you either choose your faith or you choose your country. Because
Mm,
I am of the belief that the Bible should always teach the American flag how to wave. And those who
Yes.
honor the
mm,
flag, if you honor Christ, you make no mistakes.
Right.
So that is my thing on race. Deeper conversations for another day, because I think we would have to get into history, some of the reasons why people are angry. I think I introduced to you two ladies the other day, the Star Spangled Banner is not a good song for Black people. The third stanza is awful. And so it wasn't just people being disobedient or disrespectful to a treasured flag, but there are reasons. And if we don't stop to ask, why are you doing this? And stop long enough to listen, then we will always look at things superficially and be angry about nothing and forgetting that the devil is always in the details and he'll keep us there.
Right.
So
mhm.
I choose Christ over America any day.
Okay.
I agree, Bridget. I would say follow Christ, act as he did, how he would want us to. And as a white female, I would say, listen, ask questions and listen, and take time to um, process what you hear, and before you impulsively do something. But and then get out of your comfort zone.
Yes, definitely get out of your comfort zone. Melinda.
I would say recognize your own biases and know that no matter who you are, you bring a bias to the table because you bring your own values, your own experiences, and that comes with you no matter who you are because it makes up who you are. And
Mm,
in that, know that there's richness and experience in everyone and in every situation. And so, with that, knowing that there is a time to listen, there's a time to act, and there is a time to be still. And so, I think all the things that these other ladies have said so eloquently about what to follow, what to listen to, when to do it, and how to do it are all beginning steps as to how the conversations can begin, but that's part of what the problem is right now.
Right.
Human beings, foremost and for anything, they want to be heard. A human being wants to be heard. And that is the problem that is happening right now, is that for too many centuries, there are groups that felt like they have not been heard. And
right.
so now they're at a point of saying, you're going to hear me whether you want to hear me or not. And I'm going to do it by any means necessary. It may not be the best way, but it is going to be heard. And so I think by having the conversations, listening, being silent, and doing some of the other necessary steps to hear, I think that we can begin to have the hard conversations, really take a look at reality and accept it for what it is. I think we can begin to take some steps in the right direction to recognize some realities and to right some wrongs, and then to move in a different direction. Because we can't change history, but we
Right.
don't have to repeat it, and we don't have to try to rewrite it.
Yes.
We can just make it look different.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. I thank y'all so much. And I agree with everything y'all said. And I wanted to do this show to give a voice to stop racism because it breaks my heart on every aspect, from my husband to my children. And I have faced it because I'm married to a Black man, because my ex-husband was Hispanic. I've faced it. Maybe not in the same way that y'all have, but I've faced it. And I know that y'all have faced it tenfold what I have. And I know that it broke me. I can't imagine what it does to y'all. And I am so glad that y'all joined me. Y'all are strong women with a passion and a love. And I just want to thank you for being here. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you for giving a voice to racism to help us stop it.
And
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Laura Beth.
Awesome.
Bye. Y'all have a good day.
Bye.
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 Take care, everyone.
The book Mental Kidnapping by Stephen Treadwell will help strengthen you spiritually with evidence from the Word of God. Everything we do begins with a thought. Think twice before you speak once, casting down imaginations and every high thing that is exalted against the knowledge of God. Let the real you shine through. Get encouraged, blessed, and motivated. Go to lulu.com or call 844-212-0689 to order your copy of Mental Kidnapping.
I got hit by a car,
Okay.
knocked up 8 feet in the air, landed on the windshield,
Wow.
died twice on the way to the hospital. But I was in a coma for 15 days. I came out the coma, found I was paralyzed. I never thought of myself being a writer. Every paper I wrote in college was, it was about, the Word of God.
Right. Amen.
And so that's why I live. I live, you want to find me, I'll be in the secret places. Well, mental kidnapping is anything that takes you away from the will of God.
Mental Kidnapping by Stephen Treadwell takes you behind the bars of the human mind. Stephen Treadwell, a talented writer, a must-read for everybody. Get your copy today at lulu.com.
Sometimes we can do things that exclude others.
You're still talking to your friends. It's complicated.
I think he went back in. We gotta go get him.
Welcome to Jumanji.
Even the smallest words and actions can have a big effect on someone. You have the skills. Because of you, someone's entire day, their year, or their life can change.
Remember, the future is in your hands.
Visit becauseofyou.org to learn more.
Totally, let's do it.